be covered by me. And the next 4 discuss the relevant PLOs, including problem analysis PLO2 and the PLO3 with design, engineering knowledge PLO1, and investigation PLO4. Tentative lecture delivery plan that we're going to follow in this ODL classes that in first 4 weeks I'll be covering my midterm course, and then for the next 4 weeks engineer Visa will take up the classes, and if the midterm they happen on campus, so it's good. Otherwise we'll continue the classes and we may have some comprehensive exam at the end. So it depends on the situation, prevailing situation. So we started with the elementary hydrodynamics, in which we first of all defined it that the study of fluid mechanics based on the mathematical terms, mathematical equations. And now you should be well clear with this that we have derived certain equation to define continuity, to define the rotational, irrotational flow, and also to define the stream function, velocity potential function, etc. So we have also discussed one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional flow, in which velocity component is in one direction for one-dimensional flow, and one component of the velocity is there. And in two-dimensional flow, we consider two velocity components to completely define the flow. And in three-dimensional flow, we have, which is a complex one, we have the three dimensions of the velocity to be covered are taken. We also derive the differential equation of continuity. We consider a differential three-dimensional element of the fluid in x, y, and z direction, having dimensions delta x, delta y, delta z, and having velocity component u, v, and w in x, y, and z direction. We also consider the mass flow rate, which was entering along a certain axis and then leaving along the axis. And consider the net mass flow and all. Then we discuss rotational flow. In rotational flow, the net algebraic rate of the fluid, and for rotational flow, there is net rotation of the element of the fluid. So we consider the an element of the fluid at any t and t plus delta t, and superimposing both, we derive the rotation of the element 0, and when there is it's not 0, we also define the rotational flow. Now we also use this equation to check the flow field for rotational or irrotational flows. And then finally, in the first lecture, we defined the circulation vorticity. Circulation was defined as a line integral of the velocity about the closed path, and vorticity was defined as the circulation per unit enclosed area. This is what we discussed in our in this first lecture, partly in the second lecture. Then in continuation of this, we completed our this topic in the second lecture, the second week. So that was in that the contents that we covered was streamlines, which are the imaginary lines showing you, giving you the average direction of the flow of the fluid, or average direction of the velocity of the number of fluid particles. So they are helpful in finding the seepage flow especially. And along these lines, we have discussed that the stream function remains constant, and at any point, if we draw tangent to the streamline, there is a velocity vector. We also discussed the properties of the streamline, that they cannot be crossed, and flow cannot be across them. And the streamlines, they have more spacing when the velocity is smaller, and they have lesser spacing when the velocity is more. So we also covered, we considered one streamline and the velocity vector tangent to point P having coordinates x and y, and the velocity components along x and y over u and v respectively with theta angle with the horizontal, the x-axis. So tangent theta we define v over u and du y over dx. From this we got u dy minus v dx as the equation of line. Then we define the equipotential line, the line along with the velocity potential function phi is constant, and these are the lines of equal pressure head. Stream function we discussed mathematically, u is partial y or partial psi or partial y, and v is minus partial psi. Similarly, we define the velocity potential function partial phi or partial x is equal to u, and partial phi or partial y. Then we proved that the streamlines and the equipotential lines are orthogonal to each other. They cross each other normally. So for this, we found the slope of the streamline first, that is dy over dx v over u, and the slope of the phi line, equipotential line, was u over v. So both were opposite to each other. So from there, we concluded that psi lines and phi lines, they cross each other normally, they intersect each other normally. So this is what is shown. The network of streamline and equipotential lines and flow net. And if you see, these are the streamlines and these are the equipotential lines. So wherever they are intersecting, we have the 90-degree angle, we have the normal intersection of the phi line and the psi line. We also checked that and proved this thing that also that in case of continuous flow, we found that the stream function will always exist because it satisfies the continuity equation considering its u and v by definition mathematically and putting in the continuity equation. So we found that stream function is whenever there is a continuous flow. And we also checked that velocity potential function may or may not exist in continuous flow. On the other hand, for irrotationality of the flow, we found that stream function may or may not exist, but the velocity potential function will always exist in the irrotational flow. So this is what we concluded from this. And then a few numericals solved considering the psi function and finding the equation for phi. That's the graphical representation of the network of stream dimension lines. It's very useful in practical scenarios like to find the examples for this, like flow. We want to find the seepage flow under the dam body. We want to find the seepage flow through the earthen dams. We want to find the canal seepage. Very possibilities where this concept is used to find the seepage flow or the subsurface flow by drawing the flow net. So some of the characteristics we discussed for the flow net. So in a flow net, the phi lines, they will intersect the psi line normally and also to the fixed boundaries. And the resulting grid is a square. The size of the square is more towards the outer side of the curve, less towards the inner side of the curve. The size of the square is smaller in increasing velocity and it is larger in decreasing velocity. This is what we have covered. Some practical examples I've shown for the flow net under the dam, through the dam body. We also discussed then the flow field. So we have the flow field is the way to define a flow and the components of the flow, like the velocity of flow in space and time, with respect to space and time, how it is varying, that it is defined in terms of the flow field. We have the rectilinear flow field, the simplest one. The flow lines are parallel, straight, and equidistant. And we have the sink and source. Flow lines are symmetrically spaced and flow is outward from a central point. And flow lines again are symmetrically spaced and flow is inward towards the central point. There's a sink flow. We can have the combination of both as well. Maybe rectilinear source is possible. Rectilinear sink is possible. So these combinations are also possible. You are given one assignment to be submitted, so you still have 1 week to do it. So complete it and again save it as make it with the roll number, and you can submit it to you can WhatsApp it to engineer Sohail, whose number is available in WhatsApp group, one of the admin. So you can send it the assignment to him. I will later on convey to him to check assignments. So anybody want to have any question or any clarity relating to the first topic that we have already covered? Yes. Anything that you want to uh, uh, in some of the numericals, I don't know how many of you have done this. You have to plot the equipotential lines, phi line and the psi line. So one of the example is example 5.5, where these have been. If you still don't understand, so then you can, for the time being, leave that and just do those numericals which have already been covered in the slides or in the lectures. Yes, anything you want to ask anybody? Okay, let me ask you questions just to know how many of you have gone through the lectures and the recordings. So, okay, roll number 56. Are you in the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you tell me any one example of one-dimensional flow? Yes. What is one-dimensional flow? How you define it? QB, कोई आइडिया नहीं है? The 57 roll number. 57 शायद है नहीं. 50 okay, 57 roll number है. Yes, 57 roll number. 58, 59.
यस सर.
जी बेटा, आप बताएं वन डायमेंशनल फ्लो क्या होता है, डिफाइन करें इसको ज़रा.
सर जिसमें वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन सेम रहती है, एक रहती है, चेंज नहीं होती, लेकिन ये आइडियली ऐसा होता है, वरना वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन चेंज हो जाती है.
वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन चेंज हो जाती है, इसका क्या मतलब है भाई? वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन कैसे चेंज हो जाती है?
मतलब फ्लो जो है वो अपनी डायरेक्शन से डेविएट कर जाता है.
नहीं, ऐसा तो नहीं होता. फ्लो जाहिर है जिस डायरेक्शन में हो रहा है वैसी में होगा, लेकिन वेलोसिटी के जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं वो एक ही डायरेक्शन में हो तो ये यूनि डायरेक्शन होगा. वन डायमेंशनल अगर दो डायरेक्शन में जो है वो फ्लो, तो जाहिर है एक ही डायरेक्शन में डोमिनेट होता है, लेकिन बाज़ का दूसरी डायरेक्शन में भी कुछ ना कुछ फ्लो हो रहा होता है, तो इस वहाँ वेलोसिटी के दोनों कंपोनेंट्स या तीनों कंपोनेंट्स जो हैं वो कंसिडर किए जाते हैं. कोई एग्जांपल बता सकती हैं थ्री डायमेंशनल फ्लो की? कोई प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल कौन सी हो सकती है? यस, नो आइडिया. 60 रोल नंबर. जी जी बोलें. यस, 60 रोल नंबर. जी 60 रोल नंबर नहीं है आप मीटिंग में? 61. यस 61.
यस सर.
अच्छा, आप बताएं बेटा कि कॉन्टिन्यूटी इक्वेशन जो वी हैव डिराइव्ड, so tell me what is the difference in continuity equation for steady and unsteady flow? दोनों में क्या फ़र्क है?
सर
स्टेडी फ्लो.
स्टडी फ्लो के लिए हम रो जीरो ले लेते हैं ना, रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ वो डेंसिटी चेंज नहीं होती.
Okay, so change of density with respect to time we take it zero. ठीक है जी. 62 रोल नंबर, आप हैं मीटिंग में? यस, रोल नंबर 62. 63.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the difference in continuity equation for compressible and incompressible fluids? क्या वहाँ पे हम simplification लेते हैं उसके लिए? Yes.
Yes, sir.
कोई है idea?
Yes, sir. Density.
Density का क्या करते हैं? Compressible fluids में density change होगी या नहीं होगी, या incompressible में change होगी या नहीं होगी?
So the main difference is so in incompressible it will not change. In compressible the density will change.
So we take the density same in all directions in incompressible fluid. This is what we considered in derivation. Okay, roll number 65 if you are in the meeting. Roll number 65.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
can you define irrotational flow? Yes. Irrotational flow.
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat it again?
Irrotational
some-
flow.
I can't
What
hear you. But
What is
Voice.
irrotational flow?
air,
Yes, irrotational, define it.
yes, I don't know.
Okay, next 66 roll number. Yes, 66. 67. Okay, so can you define what is a rotational flow? Okay. 75 roll number. 75 roll number. 76.
Yes, sir.
76. 76. Okay. So can you define what is circulation?
Yes.
क्या होती है circulation?
सर सर्कुलेशन सर वो जिसमें
हाँ भी 77 रोल नंबर आप बताएं भी हैं मीटिंग में आप पढ़ते नहीं आप लोग यार हैं यस 77 रोल नंबर
Yes, sir.
सर्कुलेशन क्या होती है
Sir, it is integral velocity of flow.
इंटीग्रल वेलोसिटी ये क्या होती है भी इंटीग्रल वेलोसिटी
Velocity का integral.
लाइन इंटीग्रल ऑफ वेलोसिटी अलोंग अ क्लोज्ड पाथ ठीक है मुकम्मल डेफिनेशन
sir.
इसकी आनी चाहिए जी रोल नंबर 83 यस रोल नंबर 83 84.
Yes, sir.
85. अभी
Yes,
84
sir.
आपका
84.
82 सर।
आप 84 आप ही बताएं वोर्टिसिटी क्या होती है? व्हाट इज वोर्टिसिटी?
Circulation per unit area.
Okay. So what about
Circulation per.
what about the vorticity of rotational flow and irrotational flow? कैसे निकालते हैं? क्या होती है?
इरिटेशनल फ्लो के लिए वो जीरो के क्या कहते हैं, जीरो के इक्वल होनी चाहिए। अगर इरिटेशनल फ्लो है, अगर वो इरिटेशनल फ्लो नहीं हो जाती इक्वेशन में, अगर हम उसके तो वो रोटेशनल हो जाएगी।
ओके, ठीक है। 88 रोल नंबर। 88।
यस सर।
Yes, 88 आप बताएंगे what is a streamline? Define it.
These are imaginary lines representing the direction of velocity or its components.
Direction of velocity of number of fluid particles, ठीक है? या average direction of the flow of the fluid. Okay, so tell me any one characteristic of the streamline. तो ये किसकी characteristic है?
सर ये क्रॉस नहीं हो सकते सर, कैन नॉट क्रॉस ईच अदर।
Okay, roll number 90. Yes, roll number 90. Roll number 90 है। roll number 90 अपना can you hear me? चले 91 आप अभी आप बंद कर दें। 91
सर फिर टाइम
आप ये बताएं कि आपके आप okay, roll number 95. Yes. So whenever you are making your mic on, so please make sure that your background is clear. Yes, roll number 95. 96. $97. 99.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 99. Can you tell me what is a flow net?
Sorry, sir, I need to revise the lecture.
Okay, just let me start with today's lecture. So in the same way, I will again ask questions from you next time. ठीक है, आप बंद कर देना माइक भी। So shoot through the lecture, download the lectures first. Forces on immersed bodies. It is chapter number 10 of Doherty book. So you can also go through from there as well. Mostly the contents will be taken from that chapter. So let me start with this. First of all, introduction. What are the different forces that a body which is immersed in a fluid will experience? So whenever there is a relative motion between body and the fluid, the body will always experience a force. It has two components. So whenever we place a body uh, in a fluid which is fully immersed, so either the body is moving and the fluid is at rest, like in case of flow, in case of movement of submarine in water, in the movement of train where in the wind, where we have relative motion of both wind and the train. And similarly, some other examples are there where the body may be moving, treated as a moving body, and the fluid is treated as a at rest. And on the other hand, we can have a scenario when the fluid is moving and the body is at rest. Like you want to model some aeroplane, you want to model train, and some other such objects or bodies, and you place it in wind tunnels, etc. Or likewise in case of submarine, you place it maybe in basin or in water reservoir in the laboratory at the laboratory scale. So in such cases, we may treat the body is at rest and the fluid is in movement or moving. So in both the cases, whether the body is moving and the fluid is at rest, or the fluid is moving and body is at rest, so the force will remain the same. In fluid mechanics, no difference is made in these scenarios. So whenever there is relative motion between body and the fluid will always exert a force on the body, and this force will have two components. One is in the direction of the flow of the fluid, which will tend to move the body in the direction of the flow of the fluid, that is called the drag force. The other component, which will be normal to the direction of flow of the fluid, and this is known as a lift force, which will tend to lift the body. In the fluid mechanics, there is no difference in the response of the body when, as I mentioned already, body is stationary and the fluid is in motion, the fluid is stationary and body is moving. Okay, if you have certain object or body placed in the fluid which is flowing with undisturbed velocity u, so as I mentioned that there are two forces which will be acting. The force will have two components actually. One is in the direction of flow of the fluid, that is the drag force, and one which will try to lift the body, that is called as a lift force. What are the various factors which will affect the force exerted by the fluid on the immersed body? So number one is the velocity of the approaching fluid. More is the velocity, more force will be exerted. Size of the object. More is the size of the object, more will be the force exerted on the body. Shape of the object, that will also have the effect, like it's a sort of circular shape or the other type of shape. Accordingly, the forces, they may be different. Inclination of the object, whether it is placed vertically, horizontally, or at some angle. So again, we'll have the different force in case of the inclination of the object. Some of the practical examples that we have for the force on immersed bodies are submarine, airplanes, bullet fired, harpoon. Harpoon is a device having very sharp edge at the sharp tip and a cylindrical element on which attached, and it is used to catch fish in seas or oceans or rivers, etc. Wind load on buildings, kite flying, train, bridge, piers. So these are some of the examples of the forces on immersed bodies where either wind or water will have the effect or will exert force on the other bodies. Lift force, it is the component of the force which is normal to the direction of the flow of the liquid. It is the summation, how we find it actually, it is a summation of all the normal to flow components of the pressure forces on the object. So if you sum take the algebraic sum of all the normal to flow forces of the pressure forces, so you end up with finding the and experimentally we can determine it. Experimentally, like using a wind tunnel, we know how much force is being applied, we know how much velocity is set, area of the object we know, the projection area or the face area of the object, and in this way you can find CL. In this, U is the undisturbed velocity of the fluid, which is the relative velocity, and A is the area of projection, the surface area of the object. Drag force, on the other hand, is the force in the direction of the flow of the fluid whenever we have the relative motion between body and the fluid. So it will tend to drag the body along the line of action of the force. And how it is obtained? By finding the summation of all the components of the pressure forces in the direction of flow plus the drag due to friction between body and the fluid. So drag force is sum of the two forces, pressure and the friction force. So it depends how the body is placed. Like it is, if it is vertically placed, the pressure force will be much more than the friction force, and if it is horizontally placed, the friction force will be dominant in that case. Again, drag force mathematically it is Fd rho u square by 2 into A. This is Fd is Cd into rho u square by 2 into A. It's only the Cd coefficient of drag which is different from the lift force. So it is again, it can be found experimentally. It depends on the shape, size, and inclination of the object. So further, as I mentioned, that drag force is actually sum of the pressure forces and the frictional force. So just on the lines of the drag force, we can define mathematically the pressure force, Cp rho u square by 2 into A, and the friction force Cp, that is it is called as a pressure drag, and the other is called as a frictional drag. Cf rho u square by 2 into A. Cp and Cf are known as the coefficient of pressure drag and the friction drag respectively, and they also depend on the shape, size, and inclination of the object, and they can also be determined experimentally. Let us solve numerical how we can find these forces. So you are given a kite which may be assumed a flat plate of face area 1.2 square meter and the mass of 1 kg. It is flying at an angle of 35 degrees to the horizontal. The tension in the string holding the kite is 50 Newton, and the wind is blowing with undisturbed velocity of 40 km per hour. The density of air is 1.2 kg per cubic meter. You have to calculate the lift and the drag force on the kite, and you have to also find the lift and drag coefficients. So you are given with the area, mass, which is 1 kg, so the weight will be mass into acceleration due to gravity, it will be 9.81 newtons. Tension in the string holding the kite is 50 newtons, and density of air to be taken as 1.2 kg per cubic meter. U is wind speed 40 km per hour, and if you convert into meter per second, so that is 40 into 1000 divided by 3600. 40 into 1000, that will convert kilometer to meters. An hour has 3600 seconds, so divided by 3600, so it will be meter per second. So it comes to be 11.11 meter per second. This is the diagram for this numerical. If you see, this is a kite which is considered as a plate having weight W acting downward, having lift force acting upward, having drag force acting to the right, positive x direction. Now the forces which are another force which is the sine component of this 50 Newton acting downward in the direction of weight, and cos component of this 50 Newton is acting in the negative x-axis. So this is the force diagram that we have for this. So first of all, let's find the lift force. So to find the lift force, let's take the summation of all the forces in y direction equal to 0. Algebraic sum of all the forces in y direction must be 0. So in y direction we have lift force, we have the weight, and we have the sine component of the 50 Newton acting downward. So taking this upward positive y-axis with plus sign, and the negative y-axis the negative sign. So W weight is acting downward, it is minus 9.81, and the component of the force, tension force in downward, that is 50 sine of 35 degrees with the negative sign, and FL is acting in the upward direction, positive y direction, this is with the plus sign. So if you solve it, so it comes to be 38.8 newtons. So to find the drag force, we have to take the summation of the forces in y direction equal to 0, in x direction equal to 0. So Fd is in the positive x direction, and 50 cos of 35 is in the negative x direction. So again, you can find the drag force. Next is how to find the coefficients. So first of all, FL is CL rho u square by 2 into A. Putting the values for FL, rho is given, velocity is given, area of the kite, the plate is given. So you can find the CL 0.431. Similarly, you can find the CD, coefficient of drag. Again, putting the values in the equation. FD CD rho u square by 2 into A. So we have found FD in the previous step. We have found, we know we have been given rho u and area. Putting the values, you can get the CD. So you can try this at your place with different data also, just to know how we can find these forces. The next thing is very important topic to start with is the growth of boundary layer along a smooth flat plate. Figure first, and then we'll come to the types of the boundary layers, and then later on the depth. So in this diagram, if you see, a smooth flat plate is placed in a fluid which is moving with the velocity u, undisturbed velocity u. This plate has length L. Now when and this plate has a leading edge, this is the leading edge, and at the leading edge we have this sharp edge. And why this sharp edge has been provided at the leading edge of the smooth flat plate, to have the smooth entry or undisturbed entry of the fluid to the plate. That's why this has been provided, so that when the fluid enters the plate, it has smooth entry, it has the undisturbed entry to the plate. It has a trailing edge. This is the trailing end of the plate. Now what happens when the fluid comes in contact with the plate, when the fluid starts to flow over this surface of one surface of the plate, top surface of the plate, what happens that the fluid is divided into two portions. The fluid flow is divided into two portions. One portion, if you see near the surface of the plate, up to this line, this bold curved line, this is one portion of the fluid flow which is in which it is diverted, in which it is divided. This is called as the boundary layer. So what is happening in the boundary layer? One thing, if you see, boundary layer is just starting at the leading edge. It has zero thickness over here, and as we are moving along the distance x, the thickness of the boundary layer is increasing. Thickness of the boundary layer is represented by this symbol del. It is the vertical normal distance from the surface of the plate to this curved line, or to this profile of the boundary layer. This is called as the profile of boundary layer, this one. And from the surface of the solid surface of the plate to the profile of the boundary layer, this is the thickness of the boundary layer. This is called as the profile of the velocity. This is the velocity profile within the boundary layer and outside of the boundary layer. So within the boundary layer, if you see, velocity is varying from 0 to certain value when y is varying from 0 to again certain value. So it means that within the boundary layer we have the change in the velocity, which is called the velocity gradient, and we have the shearing stress present between the fluid and the body, the surface of the plate. So this is the boundary layer. So when the fluid will come in contact with the surface of the plate, it is divided into two portions. One is the boundary layer near the surface of the plate up to this boundary layer profile, and the other portion of the fluid, it is outside the boundary, which is the undisturbed flow of the fluid, where there is no velocity gradient, there is no shearing stress present, there is no frictional drag present. So this is the undisturbed portion of the flow where the velocity is equal to u, and within this boundary layer velocity is less than u, and it approaches u near the profile of the boundary layer. तो जहाँ बाउंड्री लेयर का प्रोफाइल है, जहाँ इसकी थिकनेस एंड हो रही है, वहाँ पे जाके वेलोसिटी जो है वो अनडिस्टर्ब वेलोसिटी को अप्रोच करेगी. एंड ऑन दिस लाइन ऑफ द बाउंड्री लेयर प्रोफाइल द वेलोसिटी इज 99% ऑफ अनडिस्टर्ब वेलोसिटी, एंड under this, within the boundary layer, the velocity is lesser than this. So this is the explanation of the figure. The same thing is explained in the text. Consider a smooth flat plate having the length L with a sharp leading edge to avoid disturbance in the fluid motion, to have the smooth entry of the fluid. Let U is the undisturbed velocity of the approaching fluid, as shown. Due to motion of the fluid along a smooth flat plate, there will be development of boundary layer, as I mentioned. Its thickness will be 0 at the leading edge and increases along the distance. करेंगे तो इसकी thickness बढ़ती जाएगी. The maximum thickness of the boundary layer is at the trailing edge of the plate. So this is the trailing edge of the plate, the other end. So where the fluid is leaving the plate, so it will have the maximum thickness of the boundary layer. The concept of the boundary layer was first introduced by German scientist Prandtl, which is considered as one of the important advances in the modern fluid mechanics. Remember this, in the modern fluid mechanics, where we deal with the design of planes, design of other shapes and also we deal with the estimation of the power required to overcome the frictional drag of the air and other fluids. So this concept, from where this frictional drag actually comes, that is from the boundary layer. For example, if you want to have the movement of the train through the air, so you should know how much friction drag the air will exert on the train, and accordingly how much power the train should have, engine power, to overcome it. So from where the friction drag comes, that is due to the boundary. That's why this concept is very important. What is the boundary layer? Already have defined. So it is the region of the fluid extended from the solid surface of the plate in which velocity variation is taking place. That is, du over dy is not 0. So it means there is velocity gradient that is existing. Tau naught is 0, not 0 means shearing stress is present. And as a result of the velocity gradient and the shear stress, there is dF, frictional drag present within the boundary layer. That is actually responsible for this friction, and accordingly we have to design such a shapes where we have lesser friction drag, and which thickness of the boundary layer is defined as the normal from the surface of the plate to a point 99% of the undisturbed velocities observed. So, as I shown in the figure, this profile on this line, the velocity. So from the surface of the plate up to the curve or profile, it is normal distance is known as the thickness of the boundary layer. What are the factors which affect the boundary layer? One is the distance from the leading edge. As we know that at the leading edge, the thickness is 0 along the distance away from the leading edge along distance x. So that that's rough. We'll discuss the types of boundary. Remember, if it is not smooth, it has roughness on this surface. This will change from laminar boundary layer to turbulent boundary layer. So laminar boundary layer will change to turbulent boundary layer in case of the roughness of the plate. So the thickness of the laminar boundary layer is lesser. Our rate of increase of thickness of the laminar boundary layer is lesser than the turbulent boundary layer. So that's why the thickness of boundary layer in case of roughness of the plate will be more as compared to the laminar boundary layer. Then disturbance of the approaching. Now, if the approaching fluid is disturbed, means some local roughness is present at the boundary layer, and with as the case for the turbulent boundary layer. Now, next thing is the types of the boundary layers. So there are 3 types of the boundary layer that we have to deal with later in this lecture and also in the coming lecture, and accordingly we have to analyze the following boundary layers. One is the laminar boundary layer, where essentially the flow is laminar for the fluid and some other conditions are to be discussed. Turbulent boundary layer, where the flow of the fluid is turbulent, and then we have the third type as the laminar and turbulent boundary layer, which is called as a transition boundary layer also. Because when the laminar boundary layer and turbulent boundary layer both exist, then obviously in between there will be a transition zone. So this is a third boundary layer, which is we're having both and the transition boundary layer as well. So let us discuss them one by one is the explanation. First of all, laminar boundary layer. In this type of boundary layer, flow of the fluid is laminar. That is the what is the laminar flow? Fluid particles, they do not intersect each other's path and the flow is in lamination. In laminar boundary layer, both the velocity profile and the boundary layer profile are parabolic. So if you see, this is a laminar boundary layer. These red lines, they show the path of the fluid particles, and if you can see, they follow a distinct path. They do not cross each other. So this is a laminar flow. So for a laminar flow of the fluid on the plate, on the surface of the plate, the resulting boundary layer will be the laminar boundary layer, and this laminar boundary layer will be parabolic laminar boundary layer. And also the velocity profile will also be parabolic, showing the variation of velocity within the boundary layer and no variation outside the boundary layer. So this is about the laminar boundary layer. Now under what conditions we'll have the laminar boundary layer or entire length of the plate? We have this entire length of the plate. Under what conditions we'll have the laminar boundary layer for the entire length? So such conditions are mentioned. Number one, approaching fluid has a laminar flow. So if the fluid which is flowing over the surface of the plate has a laminar flow throughout the length, so it will have the laminar boundary layer. There should be no local disturbance or projection at the leading edge of the plate. So if we have some raised projection, some roughness is present at the leading edge of the plate, so that will change the laminar boundary layer to turbulent boundary layer. So in that case, we will not have any laminar boundary layer, it will be turbulent boundary layer. So at the leading edge, we should not have any local projection or roughness. The plate is smooth for the entire length. So for the entire length of the plate, there should not be any roughness in between the leading edge and the trailing edge. एक तो ये है कि लीडिंग एज पे कोई रफनेस ना हो और दूसरा ये है कि पूरी प्लेट की लेंथ पे कोई रफनेस ना हो. So roughness will change the laminar boundary layer to turbulent boundary layer. So to have the boundary layer, laminar boundary layer on the entire length, we should have the throughout the length a smooth flat plate, smooth plate, not the plate having roughness. The fourth one, which is a very important parameter, the length of the plate should be less. That is, L should be less than XC. I will come to it. What is XC? So the plate की लेंथ है वो कम होनी चाहिए. अगर ज्यादा लेंथ होगी, स्पेशली XC से ज्यादा होगी, so laminar boundary layer will change to turbulent boundary layer. So XC is the distance from the leading edge to a point where the laminar boundary layer changes to turbulent boundary layer. So अगर लेंथ जो XC से कम रहेगी तो laminar boundary layer ही बनेगी पूरी लेंथ पे, and if it is more than that, then up to distance XC there will be laminar boundary layer, and then later it will change to turbulent boundary layer. So this is about the laminar boundary layer. Coming to the turbulent boundary layer, in this type of the boundary layer, flow of the fluid is turbulent. That is, fluid particles, they intersect each other's path and they do not follow the flow in lamination. Conditions under which the turbulent boundary layer will be present on entire length of the plate are: number one, approaching fluid has a laminar flow. Secondly, there is local disturbance or projection at the leading edge of the plate. So these are the two conditions under which we'll have the turbulent boundary layer. Number one, it is mentioned that the fluid which is flowing over the plate has the turbulent flow, it is disturbed. And secondly, the leading edge has the local roughness or local projection. So that will also have the turbulent boundary layer entire length of the plate. So if you, the red lines, they are showing the path of the particles of the fluid, and in this case the particles, the path of the particle is mixed or intermixed, or they are crossing each other. So that is a laminar, that is a turbulent boundary layer. And for a turbulent boundary layer, the boundary layer profile and the velocity profile will not be parabolic. Now, one very important thing in this, that in turbulent boundary layer or in the turbulent flow, remember this, very close to the surface of the plate for very small thickness, there will be laminar flow. Up to this dotted line from the surface of the plate, the flow will be within this layer will be laminar flow, and outside it the flow will be turbulent flow. So this is known as the laminar sublayer or viscous sublayer. When the boundary layer is turbulent on the entire length of the plate, then there will always be a very small thickness adjacent to the surface of the plate in which flow of the fluid will be laminar. This is known as laminar sublayer or viscous sublayer. The reason of this is that very close to the plate surface, velocity is very small. So that tends to be the laminar flow, because flow with very small velocity is normally the laminar flow. So this is one reason, and also it will have only one component of velocity within this layer, very close to the surface of the plate, and that will also make it is the scenario that the flow will be in one direction. So that will also have the for the laminar flow very close to the boundary of the surface of the plate, and this thickness of the sublayer, viscous sublayer, is very small, maybe 100th, 1 by 100 or 1 by 1000 of a millimeter is this thickness. Next is the third type of the boundary layer, laminar and turbulent boundary layer, which is also called as a transition boundary. When the length of the plate is sufficient, that is, length is greater than xc, so what happens initially, there will be development of laminar, and after up to distance xc, it will remain there, and afterward, because of the friction offered by the surface of the plate, this laminar boundary layer will change to turbulent boundary layer at a distance xc from the leading edge. This distance xc can be determined by a known value of local Reynolds number. So we can find this distance xc from the leading edge. We know that at this point it is found that the Reynolds number is 500,000. So if you put this Reynolds number over here, knowing the velocity and kinematic viscosity of the fluid, we can find xc. Now, rate of increase of the thickness in turbulent boundary layer is much higher as compared to laminar boundary layer. And also there will be viscous sublayer in the turbulent zone. If you see this diagram, that is the case of the transition boundary layer, where both laminar and turbulent boundary layers are existing. So if you see initially up to distance xc from the leading edge of the plate, there is a laminar boundary layer with the with the parabolic profile of the boundary layer and parabolic profile of the velocity. After this distance xc, because of the friction offered by the plate, laminar boundary layer start to change to turbulent boundary layer, and before it achieves the true turbulent flow, there is a transition zone between laminar and turbulent, and afterward there will be complete or fully turbulent flow, and there will be viscous sublayer as well near the surface of the plate. So this is how we can define the laminar and turbulent boundary layer, combinedly having the transition between them. So these are the types of the boundary layers that we have to analyze. Now, up till this point, if anybody having any questions, up till now we have learned there are two forces applied by the fluid on a immersed body, drag force and the lift force. Lift force is normal to the flow and drag force is along the flow. Lift force is a summation of the forces, algebraic sum of the forces in direction normal to the flow, and drag force is actually the sum of the pressure drag and the friction drag, and it is the summation of the forces along x-axis along the direction of flow. Then we have learned that when the fluid comes in contact or flows over the surface of the plate, smooth flat plate, so it is divided into two portions, one near the surface of the plate known as the boundary layer, and boundary layer is the region of the fluid in which we have change in the velocity, there is velocity gradient, there is the frictional stress, and as a result there is a friction drag. And outside of the boundary is the undisturbed zone of the fluid. We have learned there are three types of boundary layers depending on the type of the flow and depending on the length of the plate. Another condition, laminar boundary layer. In case of laminar flow, when the length is smaller, less than xc, when the disturbance is not there at the start of the fluid. And we have the turbulent boundary layer, the second type, where we have the turbulent flow of the fluid, where we have the local projection of the leading edge. And third type is when the length of the plate is large enough and we have initially laminar flow and then it will convert to turbulent flow with the transition in between. So this is about the thing that we have learned up till now. Any question up till now, if anybody having, please ask before I start with the analysis of the boundary layer. Yes, any question from your side?
ये जो ट्रांजिशन जोन होता है इसकी रेंज कहाँ तक हो सकती है कि वैसे ही हम कॉमनली लेते हैं कि इसके बाद ये टर्बुलेंट में चेंज हो जाएगा?
हाँ, इसकी रेंज दी हुई है, आगे आएगी वो। स्टार्ट तो ये हो रहा है रेनॉल्ड नंबर के हिसाब से, इसकी रेंज है, डिस्टेंस के हिसाब से नहीं है, उसके अकॉर्डिंग डिस्टेंस भी फाइंड कर सकते हैं। तो रेनॉल्ड नंबर के हिसाब से 500,000 से लेके ये तकरीबन कोई 10⁻⁷ वैल्यू तक ये, या उससे ज़्यादा भी होता है, तो यहाँ तक ये अप्रॉक्सीमेटली इसकी रेंज आती है। ठीक है,
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
जी, any other question? Okay, let us start with the analysis of the boundary layers. So as I mentioned, we have three boundary layers to deal with, and accordingly we have to analyze them separately one by one. And what we have to find in the analysis of the boundary layer, that we have to see. Okay, types of boundary layers, we have laminar, turbulent, and then laminar and turbulent both are to be analyzed. And what we have to find in the analysis of these boundary layers, number one, we have to find thickness of the boundary layer and its variation on the entire length. तो पहली चीज हमने जो फाइंड करनी है वो है बाउंड्री लेयर की थिकनेस की क्या इक्वेशन होगी, क्या फार्मूला होगा, दैट वी हैव टू फाइंड, एंड वी हैव टू सी कि हाउ दिस थिकनेस इज वेरिंग अलोंग द डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द लीडिंग एज or how it's varying on the entire length. Then to calculate the shearing stress which develops between the fluid, moving fluid, and the surface of the plate, that we have to find, its expression has to be determined. And then thirdly, to calculate the frictional drag dF. These are things that we have to find mainly in this analysis of the boundary layer. First of all, let us start with the analysis of boundary layer. So firstly, it's a common derivation, and then we'll specifically take each boundary layer one by one in our next lecture, and we'll discuss these, and we'll determine the expressions for the discussed or mentioned parameters like thickness of boundary layer, shearing stress, frictional drag, etc. So let us first of all derive the expression for the start of this derivation. So you are given with a smooth flat plate, as you can see this one, and it is placed in a fluid which is moving with undisturbed velocity u. Now when the fluid comes in contact or moves over the surface of the plate, so a frictional drag is developed because of the frictional stress tau naught. And this friction drag is the summation of tau naught into B into dx. So at any point along the distance x from the leading edge, the drag force is given by tau naught into B into dx. Tau naught is the shearing stress, B is the width of the plate on which this fluid is moving, and dx is the differential distance along the distance x. Basically, tau naught is the shearing stress multiplied by the area in shear, or area in contact between fluid and the plate, that is B into dx. So this is the shearing force or the drag force which is developed. And for the entire length of the plate, the total drag force will be the summation of the differential drag force that is torn out B into dx. So that's why it is mentioned over here. So when the fluid will have in contact with the plate, a friction stress will develop, shearing stress will develop, causing the friction drag or this drag force on the plate exerted by the fluid, which is equal and opposite to the drag exerted by the fluid on the plate. Now, what happens when the fluid start flowing over the surface of the plate? As already mentioned, this fluid will be divided into two main portions. One is the boundary layer, which is indicated by this curved line up to the trailing edge. This plate has two edges. D is the leading edge and C is the trailing edge, and ABCD is the control volume of the fluid that we are considering. So this is the control volume of the fluid that we have considered, and this fluid is divided, this control volume on one side of the flat plate that has been considered. So it has two portions, one is the boundary layer and one is the undisturbed region of the flow. So what happens that the fluid is entering from AD, entering the plate from AD, and it is leaving from BC. From side BC it is leaving from of the control volume. And within this control volume of the fluid from this D to C, as I mentioned, two portions are there. So this the fluid will also be leaving from this undisturbed region of the flow, where the velocity of the fluid is equal to the undisturbed velocity. Now, this dotted line, dotted figure showing you the velocity profile at any distance dx from the leading edge. So if you see, the velocity is varying within the boundary layer. At any distance y, the velocity is small u, and it is approaching the undisturbed velocity, and it is equal to undisturbed velocity at the region outside the boundary layer. Similarly, this is the velocity profile at the trailing edge. Del is the thickness of the boundary layer as at point C at the trailing edge, and this is the velocity profile at any distance y from the surface of the plate. The velocity is small u, and we know that at the end of the profile, at the profile of the boundary layer, or just outside the boundary, the velocity is capital U, and inside the boundary the velocity is small u. So this is the explanation of the figure. Same thing is explained in this text. Consider the control volume of the fluid as shown in the figure 10.2. This is figure 10.2, which extends the distance del thickness of boundary layer at a distance x along the plate. So the extents of this control volume is del in y-axis and x in x-axis. So these are the dimensions or extensions of the control volume, x and del thickness of the boundary layer. The pressure force is acting along the surface AB and DA of the control volume, and distance BC is so small that it will have negligible effect on the pressure variation. So the pressure forces which are acting along surface AB, this one, and along surface DA, this one. The reason is that because this plate is placed horizontally, so that's why the pressure forces are negligible, and only the frictional forces which are dominant in this case. So that's why along this surface DC, the pressure forces are, and also along this surface ABC, the pressure forces are very small. Although the edge of the boundary layer, at the edge of the boundary layer, the local velocity is taken as 99% of u, but in this case it is assumed that u is equal to capital U. तो ये पहले एक्सप्लेन किया गया है कि जो बाउंड्री लेयर का प्रोफाइल है वहाँ पे जो वेलोसिटी होती है that is 99% of undisturbed velocity. But in this case we can take it approximately equal to the undisturbed velocity u. So at the edge of the boundary layer, this one, the velocity of the fluid is equal to the undisturbed velocity. So small u is equal to capital U. Now let us start with the derivation. Now we know that since the discharge which is leaving through the surface through BC is less than the discharge which is entering through DA. So flow rate which is entering through dA, it is partially moved along the surface along this AB, and remaining is passing through the BC. So that's why the total discharge that is entering through this dA is equal to discharge along AB and discharge along BC. So that's why discharge of the fluid, the flow rate of the fluid along BC is less than the flow rate along AD or at AD. And we also there is a flow out of the control volume across volume surface AB, and QAB we know it is QDA, which is the total flow rate entering the control volume minus QBC, the flow rate which is leaving at BC. So this is quite clear from the figure. Now if the width of the plate is B, neglecting the edge effects, frictional edge effects etc., जो edge पे उसके effects आएंगे, the flow and momentum across the control surface can be expressed as follows. So now we can write down, we have three surfaces along which flow is either entering or leaving for this control volume. This surface DC is a fixed solid surface of the plate, तो इसके along या इसके cross में flow नहीं होगा. We have three surfaces to consider. One is this AD or DA, AB and BC. These are surfaces along with the flow rate and the momentum is taking place. Let us find the flow rate and the momentum across the control surfaces of the control volume. Control surfaces are DA, BC and AB. So first of all, if you look at the control surface DA, what is the flow rate there? Flow rate is area into velocity. What is the velocity of the fluid at this control surface dA? That is U, capital U. And what is the area of the flow? That is the del, this vertical dimension, this del, multiplied by the width. So this is the area in flow normal to the flow. So this is the flow rate, U into area, velocity into area. So flow rate along at the control surface dA is U into B into del. So I hope you understand this. U is the velocity of the fluid at surface dA, control surface dA. B is the width and is the height. So B into D del is the flow and U is the velocity. So U into A, velocity into area is the flow rate at the control surface dA. What is momentum? Remember, this is rho Q into V. Actually, momentum is rho Q into V. You should keep in mind. Momentum is actually mass flow rate into velocity. So mass flow rate, we know it is rho Q into velocity. So rho Q into V velocity, that is the momentum or rate of momentum in X. This is the rate of momentum in X direction that we want to consider. So that is rho into this flow rate Q into the velocity at dA, that is U. This is the momentum at the control surface dA with which fluid is flowing. Any problem in this calculation, in this flow rate and the momentum? Anybody having any query? कैसे कैलकुलेट कैसे लिखा गया है, सबको क्लियर है? फ्लो रेट और मोमेंटम जो है. Yes, can you do this?
Yes sir, clear है. Yes sir, clear है.
Okay. Similarly, we can write the flow rate for the surface control surface BC and the rate of momentum for the control surface BC. So if you look at this BC surface, so how much is the flow rate leaving this surface? So again, it is velocity into the surface area of flow. So what is the actually velocity over here? So because the velocity is varying, so first of all, what will be the differential flow rate? So differential flow rate dq will be u into dy. So differential flow rate will be u into dy, and the flow rate for the entire thickness del, it will be the integration of dq, that is capital Q, into so that will be integration of u into dy. So this is how it is mentioned into b. So what will be the flow rate for the control surface BC? That will be b into integration from 0 to del u into dy. How it has come? The differential discharge dq is u into dy, b into u, and we will take the integration from 0 to del into u into dy. So that will be the total discharge at control surface BC. So this is how this flow rate has been written. The flow rate at the control surface BC is capital B, width of the plate, into the integration from 0 to del u into dy. U is the velocity at the control surface BC of the fluid, and this shows the summation of the u into dy along this thickness del. So yes, can you have you understood this? How you can write the flow rate at this BC? क्यों भी किसी को क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है यहाँ तक? इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो कि ये कैसे हम फ्लो रेट और मोमेंटम को लिख रहे हैं. ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट इसमें ये है कि फ्लो रेट कैसे लिखना है. तो चूंकि यहाँ वेलोसिटी वेरी कर रही है, तो किसी भी एक डिस्टेंस dy पे जो वेलोसिटी है वो u है. तो किसी भी एक डिफरेंशियल डिस्टेंस पे जो डिस्चार्ज है दैट इज dq. तो dq क्या होगा? u इंटू dy, और पूरे जो इस थिकनेस पे जो डिस्चार्ज है, इंटीग्रेशन हम ले लें 0 से डेल तक, तो वो कैपिटल Q आ जाएगा एट सरफेस BC, एंड दैट विल बी इंटीग्रेशन फ्रॉम 0 टू डेल u into dy into b, that is thickness of the width of the plate. Then the momentum is simply rho q into u. So rho into this q, v into 0 to del u into dy into u. So at this point again, the velocity of the fluid is small u. So it will be actually rho into b into this 0 to del u into dy into small u. So that will be u square into dy. So this is how we can write the momentum for at the control surface BC. Similarly, we can write the flow rate at the control surface AB. So this is a control surface AB, this one. The velocity of the fluid is capital U at this surface, control surface, where the fluid is leaving the control volume. And what is the flow rate first? Flow rate is simply, it is the difference of the flow rate between dA and QBC. What is the V into del, and what is the flow rate at the surface BC, that is the control volume, and part of it is leaving from surface BC and part of it is leaving from surface AB. So flow rate which is leaving from surface AB is the total flow rate, that is QAD minus QBC. So same thing we have mentioned over here. Similarly, for the momentum, we know it is rho into Q, this one, into the velocity. So rho q into v or rho q into u, that is the momentum at the control surface AB. So this is how we can write the flow rate and the rate of momentum at the control surface as the control surface DA, BC and AB. So you should try at your places also, so that you can know how we have written this how we can write the flow rate and further moving, so now we can apply the impulse momentum principle. So in your 5th week, you will learn this complete topic will be started by Engineer Visa about the impulse momentum principle or the impact of jet. What is impulse momentum principle over here? Just to keep in mind, it states that the external sum of all the forces acting on a control volume of the fluid is equal to rate of change of momentum. The external sum of all the forces are the sum of all the external forces acting on a control volume of the fluid is equal to rate of change of momentum. The sum of all the forces acting on a control volume of the fluid the algebraic all the forces acting on a control volume of the fluid is equal to rate of change of momentum on that control volume. So what are the forces acting on control volume of the fluid? So we know that that's why we have put the negative sign with this. So there is only one force acting on this control volume of the fluid, which is in negative x direction, which is the frictional drag, which is so this one force on the control volume of the fluid. Rate of change. What is rate of change of momentum? That is the momentum leaving the volume minus momentum entering the volume. So momentum leaving the volume, control volume, and momentum entering the control volume. That is the rate of change of momentum. So this is the momentum at surface BC leaving the surface BC. And this is the momentum, rate of momentum, which is leaving the surface from surface AB, and this is the rate of momentum which is entering from surface DA. So the summation of all the external forces acting on a control volume of the fluid is equal to rate of change of momentum on the control volume. So this is the momentum leaving the control volume minus the momentum which is entering the control volume. So this is how we have written this. Now further we can simplify it. You can multiply, so this will be rho b into 0 del u square dy plus rho b. So you can multiply this rho inside, so it will be rho u b del into u. Rho and u will be multiplied inside this these two terms minus rho into b into 0 to del integration u into capital U into dy minus rho u b del into u. So if you see the second term, rho u b del into u and rho small u b del into capital U. So these are same, they will be cancelled. First and the third term will appear. So minus fx is rho b 0 del u square dy integration minus 0 rho b into 0 to del integration u into capital U into dy. So after multiplying this rho b inside and then simplifying, these two terms are cancelled, first and second and fourth term, and first and third term will appear in this. Further we can write minus fx is, we can take rho b common with a negative sign. So it will be minus rho b outside, remaining will be the, integration 0 del, and it will be u into capital U positive, ये term हो जाएगी, minus u square into dy. So taking rho b with the negative sign out, so we'll have this further negative will be cancelled with this. So fx is rho b 0 del u into u minus u into dy. So this is the equation number A, that is the frictional drag along distance along x-axis, that is rho b. Fx is the total drag or the total friction drag of the plate on the fluid from the leading edge up to distance x. So this is rho b 0 del u into, we can take u common again, u outside again. So it is u minus capital U minus small u into dy. Now further, assuming similar velocity profiles at various distances along the plate. What we are assuming that this is a typical velocity profile shown, that dotted line. We are saying that along the distance x at any point the same velocity profile exists, like over here also. So velocity profile is same along the distance x from the leading edge. So with this we can write, we can assume certain so, U or capital U should be function of y over del. So the ratio of the velocity to undisturbed velocity, that is function of ratio of velocity distance y over del, because at distance del the velocity is u and distance y velocity is small u. तो इन दोनों की जो रेशियो है ये इन दोनों की रेशियो पे डिपेंड करेगी, जितनी ये रेशियो कम या ज़्यादा होगी उतनी ही ये रेशियो कम या ज़्यादा होगी. We introduce a term eta, which is y over del, and we have assumed distances. We have come to know the ratio of small u over capital U is function of eta, which is y over del. Now substituting this u, we can put this u as u into function of eta and y as del into eta and dy as del into d eta in equation A. तो यहाँ पे हम स्मॉल u की बजाय पुट करते हैं अगर कैपिटल U इंटू फंक्शन ऑफ ईटा और डी वाई की बजाय हम पुट कर दें डेल इंटू डी ईटा, assuming that eta is y over del. तो हम ये इक्वेशन लिख सकते हैं. So f of fx will be rho b 0 del integration. So this will be u into function of eta in terms of small v u and u into minus function of u 1. So we can put over here 1. So from the equation this del will be and noting the equation becomes when y approaches the del, so eta will be 1. So that function of minus u square into function of each. So it will be u square will be taken out. So rho b u square into del 0 to 1 integration limit, because when y approaches del, eta will be 1. So we'll have function of eta 1 minus function of eta into d eta. Now this term inside the limits, inside the integration, that is our including integration, the term of integration is replaced with the alpha, where alpha is the function of boundary layer velocity distribution and it is equal to 0 to 1 integration function of eta 1 minus function of eta into d eta. So this whole term is replaced with the term alpha, which is a function of the boundary layer velocity distribution. So it is a function of boundary layer velocity distribution. Now the local shear stress at a distance x from the leading edge of the plate is, so local shear stress, that is differential of fx, differential local shear force actually, that is tau naught into b into dx. So tau naught will be 1 over b into dfx over dx, or putting the value of fx from this equation b, so we can write tau naught will be 1 over b into d of rho b u square del into alpha over b dx. Further you can write tau naught is rho u square, b will be cancelled, so it will be rho u square into this alpha into d del over dx. So this is the expression for the shearing stress or the boundary shear stress, which is valid for both laminar and turbulent flow in the boundary layer. So this is the expression which is valid for both laminar and turbulent flow in the boundary layer. दोनों के लिए valid है ये वाला expression जो है C equation में. This is where we use it further for the analysis of laminar and turbulent boundary layer in the next lecture. So this is it about today's lecture. So if anybody having any question up till now, may ask. Yes. So you should go through. This derivation. You should do it with your hands, so that you should understand how it has been carried out. Yes. Any questions from your side from today's lecture? You may ask. Okay. If you don't have any question now, I'll move towards your attendance. So these slides already have been shared with you. So I will also share the recording later on. Okay, let me have your attendance for this lecture. Okay, roll number 56.
Yes, sir, present.
57. 58. 58. 59. 59.
Yes, sir, present.
60.
Present, sir.
61.
Yes, sir, present. 61.
62. 62. 63.
63 present, sir.
64.
Present, sir.
65.
65 present, sir.
66. 66. 67. 68. 68
present.
69. 69. 70.
Yes, sir. 70 present.
Okay, 71. 71. 72.
Yes, sir. 72.
73.
70.
ठीक है 72 हो
Yes,
गया.
sir.
73.
73 present.
Okay, 74. 74.
71 present.
71 present. ठीक है 74. 75. 75. 76.
Yes, sir. 75.
Yes, sir. 76.
ठीक है 77.
Yes, sir. 77.
Okay. 78.
Yes, sir. 78.
79.
Yes, sir. 79.
Okay. 80.
Yes, sir. 80 present.
81. 81. 82. 82, 83,
Yes, sir. 83.
84,
Yes, sir. 84.
okay, 85,
Yes, sir. 85.
86,
Yes, sir. 86 present.
87,
Yes, sir. 87.
88,
Yes, sir.
88,
88 present, sir.
89, 89,
Yes, sir. 89 present.
okay, 90,
Present, sir. 90.
91,
Yes, sir. 91.
92,
82 present, sir.
93,
Yes, sir. 93.
94,
Yes, sir. 94.
95,
Yes, sir. 95.
96,
Yes, sir. 96.
97, 97, 98,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
98.
97. 2017.
भैया वेट करें ना यार, अभी मैं 2018 का बोल रहा हूँ. 98 is present, 99,
Yes, sir, present.
100, 100, 101, 101, 102, 102,
102 present, sir.
103,
103 present, sir.
104,
104
One-
present, sir.
okay, anybody else who is in this meeting?
Sir, 101.
2016 09.
2016 09. Okay, anybody else?
101.
2017.
ठीक है, 101 हो गया यार. 2017 civil 97. Okay. Yes, anybody else?
97.
ठीक है. कोई और present हो?
96.
96. ठीक है, आपका हो गया 96. Yes, anybody else? ये है 2016 civil 103. ये भी मेरे ख्याल इसमें है. Are you present? इस तरह इसमें 2018 R 17 civil 95. Yes, anybody else whose attendance has not been marked? Okay, I'm going to end this meeting over here. So you should go through these lectures, slides, and later on the recording it will be shared with you. We will have another lecture next week where I will complete this topic.